Lightning get their first win of the season, but not before almost blowing again. Plus, I think I might owe an apology to Jonas Johansson. We'll dive into it on today's Locked on Lightning.
You're Locked on Lightning, your daily podcast on the Tampa Bay Lightning, part of the Locked on Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked on Lightning your first listen of the day. Every single day, we are your free daily Tampa Bay Lightning podcast, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we want to begin by giving a shout out to our everydayers, those of you who tune in to every single show, every single day. We love you. We appreciate the support you give us week in, week out. I'm Nick Morgan, and I am joined by the blowfish to my hootie, Greg Steven. Greg, we actually have a win to talk about. First time this season.
Finally. I mean, wow. Almost not a win, but we pulled it out and needed it. Needed it. First one on the road too, so it's positive.
It happened. You know, it happened. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Yes.
Lot to break down about this game. Like we said, almost didn't happen. We also had a couple of big plays at the end to call out that I think kind of sealed the deal for the win. I owe a certain somebody on the team an apology for everything I said about him before the season started. Plus, if you don't know, the Lightning play again today. So we're going to look ahead to the Washington Capitals matchup. A packed show. Before we kick it off, do want to mention today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. All right, Greg, let's get into yesterday's 4-3 win over the Boston Bruins. We'll start out with a quick recap for those of you who weren't able to see the game. The game started great. Lightning jump out to a early 3-0 lead, 2 goals in the first period, both from Anthony Cirelli, including one just a minute into the game. Yanni Gourde added one in the second period. Lightning would make it 4-1 at one point. Pontus Holmberg, first goal as a Bolts player. Casey Middlestat had one in between there for the Bruins. Then that's where things got spicy, Greg. A 2-on-1 where it just looked like everything kind of fell apart. And John Cooper got very, very mad after this goal, but the Bruins made it 4-2. And then Morgan Geekie, this time, people listening, I actually do mean Morgan Geekie, the one on Boston, made it 4-3. Looked like it was going to stay that way late. The Bruins had a couple of late power plays, but then Jonas Johansson shut the door. A couple of key faceoff wins late, in the Lightning hold on. First time this season, 4-3 win. So, Greg, we're going to start off like we always do for the recap.
Yep.
Give me a plus and a minus from this game.
Okay. Plus is how do I phrase this? Secondary scoring or middle of the lineup. Those are trying to say it like that.
Got it. Yeah.
I mean that by saying like Gage had 2 points, Crozier had a point, Holmberg had 2 points, Cirelli had 2 points. That middle of the lineup is looking really, really sharp right now, and I love it. Minus, where's the top line? Gensel looks great, actually.
Yeah.
But Pointer and Cooch, they're not looking so good right now. I would say Cooch looks really bad, actually, since the beginning of the season. He has not looked sharp at all.
He had a really good
he scored
first,
twice,
yeah.
I think, in the
really
first
good
game.
First game, I would say.
Right, but he just doesn't look like Cooch right now. I don't know what it is, but that top line's got to kind of figure that out a little bit. That's my minus.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And shout out to, Crozier, who quietly has 3 points on the season.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'm telling people, but they don't want to listen to me.
No, there you go. Hey, you were right this whole time. Speaking of you were right this whole time, I'm going to give a plus to Jonas Johansson because I feel like he saved the game down the stretch, and
Mhm.
really wasn't sure what to expect him coming in. We talked a lot in this offseason where I said, like, I felt like he's not exactly the guy you want to be like the B in the 1B, 1A situation. But he came out here and I think he made a couple of really clutch saves late in the game, especially when the Lightning were shorthanded. I think when things started to fall apart a little bit in the second period, he was there to close the door. You and I were kind of debating that second goal, the one where John Cooper was walking up and down the bench screaming at somebody and
Yeah.
trying to figure out like how much blame he should really have for that goal.
Mhm.
It looked like a breakdown across the board. But other than that, I thought he looked really strong. I think he was seeing the puck well. And I don't think the Lightning win this game without a couple of key saves that he makes late down the stretch. So kudos to JoJo for that one. I'm going to have to give a minus, Greg, to the turnovers.
Yeah.
God, what another disaster game for the Tampa Bay Lightning in terms of turnovers. 21 giveaways yesterday. You know, and it's coming in inopportune times too. Like, you know, a blown, you know, you kind of lose track of the cycle in that second goal we're talking about.
Right.
We had another, I can't remember who it was, but another chance late where Boston almost scored on. That was just an egregious turnover.
Yep.
You can't have 21 turnovers in a game and expect to win every single night.
Yep.
And that to me, I think is maybe the most concerning thing for the Lightning this year is they just haven't been sharp on the puck. And now it's 3 games in the season, so let's not go into full panic mode or anything like that, which I feel like is the name of every episode title we've done since the season has started. But that's something you would like to see the Lightning remedy a little sooner than later.
Yeah. And I'll contest you just a little bit because I think the biggest issue is that we gave them 5 power plays again. Hello? Are we going to get out of the box anytime soon? Like, what the heck, dude? Why is everyone always in the box? Lilleberg hooking, Holmberg holding, Holmberg tripping, Gage tripping, Chernak with a hooking, all avoidable penalties. Just like so unnecessary. It's crazy. I don't know how they don't fix this. Do they not just all? I don't know. I digress. I just can't. I can't watch it anymore.
I feel like we need to go back and actually do a deep dive into how many penalties that they're getting per game and where they rank in the NHL. I didn't pull the numbers today, but I don't know. Like it didn't feel. How many power plays did the Bruins wind up getting?
5.
Was it 5? Okay,
yeah.
that is kind of egregious.
It's insane.
I thought maybe one was a matching minor somewhere, but yeah, I mean that is a theme.
It's horrible.
Yeah. I would say if there's another minus in this one, we'll promise we'll get to some good stuff because it is a win. In the 3 games this season, in the second and third period, the Lightning have been outshot 39-58 across their first 3 games this season. And that's something that I think needs to be fixed. And we saw John Cooper. I applaud plus to John Cooper in this game for actually showing a lot of anger behind the bench after that second goal.
Agreed.
And I think he actually said it in his post game with, Benjamin Pierce. He said, like, there's a lot of good tonight, but we have to keep shuffling out these losing habits. And I applaud him for actually trying to go in there and show some outrage a little bit in getting this cleaned up. But yeah, I mean, it feels weird, Greg, because this is a win and we should be sort of matching the celebration of a win. But it also just feels like the PTSD of, God, we almost blew this again still feels very heavy in this one.
Yeah. I mean, look, it is a win, like you said, but there is not a lot to love about this game, in my opinion.
I disagree with that to an extent.
Okay.
In fact,
I mean, we'll talk. We'll talk.
Yeah, we will talk. And how about we talk after this break? Because I think there are a couple of things that worked really well that we can highlight. maybe something a little bit different than what went wrong the first two games. Let's dive into that. Plus, we'll have a preview of tonight's matchup against the Washington Capitals when we come back. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. NFL season is finally here. Football is in full swing, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your team wins. That's right. All you have to do is pick a bet, put $5 down, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it gives me so many different ways to play. I can build parlays. I can build player props. Or, my favorite thing to do, follow the live lines during games with some live in-game bets. It makes football watching even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or just love following the guys on your fantasy team, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So, what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Again, FanDuel.com to download the app and place your first $5 bet. Welcome back to Locked on Lightning. Nick Morgan here alongside Greg Stephen. And Greg, what did you see different in this game? We talked about some of the near misses. We talked about maybe some things falling apart again. Mm-hmm. But what did you see maybe is the difference from this game that resulted in a win than the previous two losses?
It's a great question, actually. I want to say we saw the full lineup more here than we have in the others. And I think also Holmberg has looked so good.
Yes, he has.
And in this game, he looked awesome. One of his passes, I think was it to Yanni? Yeah, it was to Yanni, I'm pretty sure. He had just an awesome pass. If you haven't seen it, you got to rewatch it. I think it was the third Lightning goal, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Fantastic pass. And then he just goes on to score, I think 3-ish minutes later. So he just had such a great game, minus the penalties again. But no, I thought he looked great. And like I said, the middle of the pack is looking really sharp. Gage got out there, got a couple assists. Moser's first game, he picked up an assist. Yanni looks good. Mm-hmm. Yanni looks better than I expected Yanni to look this year. And I didn't think he would be bad, but he looks really good. He looks young, which is funny to say, but he looks young out there, so all those things just adding up and putting them together, I think that middle of the pack looks great. And I don't want to skim over Anthony Cirelli. I do kind of consider him a superstar in his own right, just like he's a little more of a utility superstar, but he notched 2 goals. So, and 2 assists from Gensel and Gonsalves on both those 3 look great together.
When we were doing our plus minus, I needed to call out JoJo, but Anthony Cirelli was so close to being my plus for this one.
Oh yeah.
And it was honestly not the best first 2 games for Cirelli.
Right.
I think he made in that first game, was it the first game or the second game? He made a pass that set up the first goal that kind of turned the tide a little bit. Mm-hmm. I think that was the first game. But it was a little bit off. And I think in this game, we saw the full Swiss Army knifeness of Anthony Cirelli. Had the 2 goals at the start. But to me, the biggest thing was watching him late. When he was on the ice during that late power play for Boston, when he was on the ice for those last 2, I think, big face-offs, one of which is, defensive zone, they rely on him to do a lot of the clutch work, I would say. Braden Point, very good two-way player in his own right, but it seems like Anthony Cirelli is the guy that always goes out there when you need a big face-off win. The Lightning have not been good at face-offs this season, and they weren't particularly good last year. That's something I think needs to be fixed down the line. But Anthony Cirelli going out there and winning 2 of the biggest faceoffs of the game, I think deserves some stick taps for this one.
Yeah, definitely. He looked great in this one. I don't expect Cirelli to be bad by any means. He's such a great utility player. And look, think about how many penalties or power plays we've given the opposing teams in these 3 games. Yeah. He's out there killing those. So
yeah.
when he's not on the score sheet, he's doing other stuff for this team.
Yeah. You know who I thought you were going to say is what was different? Who wasn't out there?
Oh,
Who wasn't on the ice?
Radish, he was gone.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not going to crap on Darren Radish too much.
No.
I did like the identification, maybe awareness is the right word. I did like the awareness of John Cooper to maybe look at Max Crozier and be like, can we get maybe a different dynamic out of him? And I thought he and Lilberg had some real good chemistry. They didn't get a lot of ice time, but I do think that when they were out there, it kind of gave you the vibe of just a regular third pair.
Yeah.
One that you can throw out there and know they're not going to screw things up. And that sounds funny, but that is kind of what you want from your third defensive pair, is just somebody that you can put out there to get minutes, contribute to the penalty kill when needed, but also mostly just go out there and don't blow it.
Yes.
And I thought Crozier and Lilberg did a really good job of that last night. Crozier 3 points this year. That's crazy for him, because we were talking, we didn't really either of us think that was kind of his game, right?
I mean, I've been saying Crozier is the guy, bring him up, and he's here. Let's go.
But there's a difference between like, oh, this is a really good defenseman, like
being an offensive defenseman,
and somebody who's got some, playmaking setup pop.
Yeah. No, you're right. And that doesn't mean it's going to continue either, right? So we're not going to sit here and say he's going to put up 60 points, but 3 points so far is pretty solid. I will say Lilleberg, I love Lilleberg, but God, with the penalties he takes, and then he had 3 giveaways in this one, he's just not very good with the puck right now. He has some fundamentals to work on still. I just think I think Crozier looks better than Lilleberg, Chernak, at least those two, and Radish.
Yeah. A little bit off for Chernak. I'm wondering if he's still maybe just dealing with something.
Yeah, he had one play that in particular that I can't remember exactly when, but it was just an awful blown coverage. I think he actually pinched at the line and they ended up scoring. He pinched at the blue line, offensive blue line, and they came down on a 2-on-1 and scored, I think is what happened. But not a good play. He has made those same type of plays in the past where he's unsure of if he should commit to holding the offensive blue line or if he should begin to return to his own zone. It's a tough play to make as for any defenseman. So I don't throw too much blame on him, but I think the defense looked a lot better yesterday overall. I will say that.
I did. I think having Moser back out there, we haven't even gotten to JJ Moser, but playing his first game of the season after suspended 2 for the Carter Verhaeghe hit in preseason. Right. I thought him jumping right back in with Victor Hedman, I think you saw, defensively some of that chemistry back last year. So stick taps for JJ Moser, who was quiet, but I thought had a sound game.
He also had the most time on ice.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. Right. It's his first game. So that was cool to see.
Yeah. One last note, minor line changes last night. You had Brandon Hagel play up on the first line, which I think he had at points maybe at a couple times in the first 2 games, but he was consistently with Point and Kucherov. Jake Gensel goes down with Cirelli and Gonsalves. And then you have Pontus Holmberg moving up to that third line. And Mitchell Chafee moving down a bit. What do you think of the line switches so far?
I understand the logic in trying. I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't like breaking up the Cooch Point Gensel line necessarily. I understand the logic in putting Gensel on like 2 and Cooch on 1 so that you kind of divide your superstars a little bit.
Yeah.
But God, they got to figure out something with the top line because I don't know what's wrong, but Cooch is -2, Point was -1, Hagel was -1. Cooch had no points. He only skated 19 minutes, which is sort of low for him. He skated less than Hagel. He skated less than Cirelli. Granted, they had 5 penalty kills, so maybe that's a big part of that. But
he's not a penalty killer.
He does not look good out there. I'm telling you. I don't know what's up, but I don't think it's an injury or anything. I don't want to think anyone that I'm
No,
suggesting that.
no.
He just looks a little off right now, and everyone has those slumps, so I'm not worried necessarily. But he just doesn't look good right now.
Yeah. I don't understand why Connor Geeky's not getting more time.
Yes.
I've gone back these first couple games and I'm not seeing anything that's like egregious, like, oh, that's a bad mistake or he's out of position
Right.
here. I thought he had a really good preseason. I think especially kind of in the games where he had to play a higher role.
Mm-hmm.
I think he did a really good job of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I'm only averaging about 8.5 minutes per game in the 3 games he played this year. He only had 6 yesterday against Boston. I'm not sure what John Cooper is either seeing or not seeing.
Yep.
Because Connor Geeky is a guy that I circle and think I would like to see more out of him. I think
Agreed.
there's like a breakout candidate in the tank there.
Yeah, 100%. Again, I don't know why Chafee's still in the lineup. I don't know why you take Finley out for JV or even Curtis Douglas. Curtis Douglas skated, I think, 4 minutes ish, something like that.
Which
So,
all you
and
need.
that I didn't expect him to skate more than that. Obviously, I think they want to get him some time because they want to use him more, which is totally fine. I just don't. I don't know. I don't like. We were talking about this yesterday. I don't like removing guys that are not solidified into the lineup because I feel like it hits confidence a little bit. So I was sad to see Finley out, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, Jack Finley is one that I would put in there because I think you could probably see more of a hockey game out of him.
Yes,
Douglas, if that makes sense. I think there's
yeah, it does.
I think there's more value in Finley being out there than Douglas, and I love
Mhm.
Douglas. He seems like the first little bit he's played, he seemed really fun.
Yeah, he's exciting.
Just on the ice and off the ice. So.
Yeah, 100%.
Hey, we have another game today, Greg.
We do.
Washington Capitals. Can the Lightning make it 2 in a row? We'll talk about some keys to today's game when we come back. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Did you know that most people can't name all of their financial accounts or, more importantly, what they're worth? Whether it's their 401ks, properties, or investments, when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives, so if you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does all the heavy lifting. You can link your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, and get smart categorization of your spending. And finally, feel in control of your money without ever having to touch a spreadsheet. So don't let this financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. Again, 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNHL. Welcome back to Locked On Lightning. Nick Morgan here alongside Greg Stephen. Game 2 of the doubleheader tonight. Lightning taking on the Washington Capitals in our nation's capital. It's going to be a 7 o'clock puck drop for that one. Greg, what are you hoping to see from the Lightning tonight?
Okay, I think my biggest thing today is how is Vasilevskiy going to play?
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have a W yet. So, and I'm not saying it's him that he's the reason he doesn't have one, but he doesn't have one. And this is his first road game. And I'm looking for him to be really sharp in this one. I think he has to be to win this back-to-back. The Caps are a strangely good team. No one thought they were going to be as good as they were last year, and they've maintained that, I believe. Like Alexei Protas, he looks so good out there. They got Chikrin back there. They have a really good team. So this is not an easy win. I would argue this is probably the hardest game of the 4 games for this road trip they're on. I think Vasilevskiy needs to play his best game.
Yeah, I agree with that. Vasilevskiy is the one that I'm watching super close for this one because like I said it on yesterday's show. I haven't seen anything that makes me worry about Vazzy, but I also
Right.
haven't seen anything from him yet that makes me think like, right, the Vazzy from 2020 is here to stay, folks.
Agreed.
So I am hoping to see him get back, and I do wonder. We talked about it. We were worried that maybe he was going to get off to, at the very least, kind of a mid start.
Mhm.
If he didn't have that time and energy to build up some confidence. He obviously had a very short training camp. I'm with you. I think Andrei Vasilevskiy is going to be a big question mark for this game. I even just for confidence, I want to see him have a good game. Maybe like a 3-1, 4-1 win where you're stopping 25 shots. I think that's a big thing for me. And the other thing I just want to see is I want to see 60 minutes. I want to see 60 minutes. I know that there's natural ebbs and flows during games. I know you're not going to be on the front foot the entire time, but I want to close some of those big lapses that we've seen across the first 3 games, or even if it's Washington gets 3 minutes where they're just on fire and have the chokehold. I want to see Tampa Bay come right back right after that and then go on the front foot for the next 3 minutes.
Yep.
Like, I want to see more of the back and forth. I don't want to see these big stretches where it just seems like it's in our zone for 5-6 minutes at a time, go in the neutral zone, maybe get a chance, and then it's back for 5 more minutes in our zone. That's the stuff I want to clean up, and I want to see the Lightning jump out to a big lead and then just keep the foot on the gas. I don't want to see them let up.
Yeah. And I want to see Kuch too. I want to see him have 2 points tonight at least. I want to see the top line succeed. I want to see these guys stay out of the box. There's a lot of things they can work on in this game. So we'll see how it all comes together. But look, Vasi is holding a 4.67 GAA right now. That is atrocious. And again, I don't even think it's really all his fault, but that is awful. That is terrible, actually. That's AHL goalie level, So that's got to get better. This team has a lot to work on right now. And like you had mentioned earlier, they're actually dead last in faceoff wins.
Yeah.
Dead last. So they're awful there too. I mean, there's just so much to work on right now. I think they gotta go home with at least 2 wins from this trip. I'd even argue 3. I think all 4 games are winnable. This is going to be the hardest one. And I think, you need Vasi and Kuch to get it done. So we'll see how they do tonight.
Yeah, Nikita Kucherov -7 in this game. The other person I'm really watching, I think, is Braden Point. He's a guy that's obviously got a lot of points these first couple of games, 4 points in his first 3. But it's also, I feel like we haven't seen this sort of shutdown number 1 center Braden Point from these first, from the last few years either. So I'm looking at him to have, a big game in this one, or at least a game where he's a little bit under the microscope. You're going up against some really good players on the other end. I think the thing that makes Washington so intriguing is that, much like some of the other teams that we faced this year, they have a lot of depth in the middle of the lineup that's kind of been getting it done for them. You mentioned, Alexei Poitras is their leading scorer, 2 goals, 2 assists this year. Tom Wilson's come in clutch with a couple of points. Chychrun's got 3 points on the blue line. Alexander Ovechkin doesn't have a goal yet. Ryan Leonard only has 1 point. Dylan Strome doesn't have any points. So a lot of the guys that we're kind of used to being like their top guys from the past few years just doesn't, it doesn't seem like they've really gotten up to full speed yet. John Carlson on the blue line's another one. So, for me, I would say this is an opportunity where if you can get your first line out there and get them some confidence against another really, really good set of top liners from Washington, I think that does a lot for the confidence of guys like Point and guys like Kucherov and whoever the other top winger happens to be for this game.
Yeah, we won't know until we see it, I guess. But look, Tom Wilson's a dangerous guy too. I don't want anyone getting hurt because he'll hurt you. So, I hope Lilleberg tones it down a little bit. I hope we stay out of the box. Don't want to see any hands thrown in this one because they got some big fellas over there. And Tom Wilson is arguably one of the scariest dudes in this league.
Yeah, unless it's, it might be Curtis Douglas time for that one.
It could be, yeah.
Yeah,
I assume they dress him just because they want to make sure that they can contest him, but maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, here's the thing, like Tom Wilson also can play hockey,
He can.
and
He's a great player.
He's a great power forward, and
Yeah.
I don't know if like dressing Curtis Douglas, like if you have Curtis Douglas matching up against Tom Wilson and Alex Ovechkin,
He
I
loses
don't
that every
think
time.
I don't think that's going to be the best hockey strategy. I don't know. I think you just kind of have to look throughout the lineup and look across the 4 lines and see what combination am I going to get the most out of tonight. And for me, I go back to what I said in the last segment. I would love to see some Jack Finley action tonight, just
Yeah.
because I think he is a tough customer. He is, as you say, a big boy.
Mhm.
But I also think there's more of a hockey upside there.
For sure.
More of a game-changing upside than Douglas, who again, love the guy, but it seems like his game is kind of dropping the gloves. So I would like to see Finley maybe being used a little bit more in this one.
Yeah, completely agree. I hope they bring him back, but we'll see. You never know. I feel like they've just been shuffling a ton right now, trying to figure some stuff out, which I like, but it's just, again, you don't want to ruin confidence too much for anyone, but
Yeah.
I hope we continue to see Geeky. Like you had brought up earlier, it scares me that he only skated. I think he only skated like 6 minutes yesterday. Is that what it was? Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so low for him. I really expected him to play at least 10, but hopefully we see him out there again. I don't want them to remove him from the lineup. Again, like I'm with you. I don't really understand why. Haven't seen anything from him to make me think like why wouldn't he be on the team?
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure, and I'm almost wondering if that first line gets another juggle again tonight.
Yeah, I'm thinking that too.
Yeah, Jake Gensel's looked really, really fast coming out of the gate. So
Gensel looks great.
Yeah,
I think he's probably the best Bolt so far. Let's be real.
I don't know if I disagree with that.
Yeah, I don't see how anyone could, to be honest with you, because he just looks he's everywhere. He's forechecking. He's getting points. He's setting stuff up. He's playing defense. He's looking great.
Yeah,
what a great addition by the Lightning. God.
Yeah, again, 4 points this year. Tied for the team lead. So, it's going to be interesting to see what the Lightning do, whether they try to just continue with the momentum of some of the things they did yesterday, or if we see some more tweaks to try to, as John Cooper said, get rid of some of those bad habits that have played in the first couple of games. Well, Greg, hopefully we're here tomorrow morning talking about 2 wins in a row for the Tampa Bay Lightning after starting the season with 2 losses. Guess we'll just have to see. For those of you listening, be sure to follow us, either subscribe on YouTube or follow us on your favorite podcasting platform. You can also follow us on social media, Locked On Lightning, pretty much anywhere. That's going to do it for us on today's show. Thanks for making us your first listen of the day. Back with Washington recap tomorrow. We'll see you then.